Hello, this is Dia Dimson, and today we are going to paint beautiful lilies. I pre-sketched my canvas already, or my little paper, but I will just quickly show you how easy it is to sketch those. And these are a few of them that I pre-painted and kind of experiment with colors, shadows, all kinds of fun stuff. So don't just paint something once, paint it a few times, experiment with different things, and then combine everything you like in one. So what we're doing is we're going to sketch an oval, then a little triangle, and we have an area on the top that kind of curves around. So we're going to create that really quick. We have a point right there. So you see how easy it is to do simple shapes, and then from there grow a little bit and change slightly our element. And I'm going to do just a little bit of shading. I'm going to take the lines I don't need just to show you where the shades or the shadows are. But obviously you don't have to do that if you're painting it, but if you're just using pencils, you can start shading and shadowing and just having fun with the pencil. You can also do that really easily. And there is one of our shadowy sides, and it's right on the edge before it curves out, and the other one is that area underneath that curved top and our right hand side. And then you can use your finger to smudge around and create beautiful soft shadows, and that's it. So let's begin. I'm gonna use a brush number 6 round, and also I'm using Van Gogh paints. If you're interested, they will be in the description below, all the materials that I love to use, so you can check them out. And I'm going to start with the background. So I created kind of like leaves, but not really, because they're just lines, and some of them are kind of coming towards each other, but there's really no leaves. It's only suggestions. So I'm going to mix, or first I'm going to activate all my paint with a little bit of water because it has dried up, but it's watercolor paint, so that's beautiful. We can just use water to activate it. And then I'm going to start dropping in the colors. I will be quiet from time to time, so observe, and always on the end of the video is where the fun begins, because that's when we start cleaning up and pushing our object forward and playing a little bit more with whatever we need to do to make it better. So I'm mixing a few different colors to create my greens. I am using yellow, I'm using blue, I'm using sometimes even a little bit of orange, I'm using ochre, and obviously I'm using 2 different greens. So just play around with your colors. You can try it in a separate piece of paper and see how they're mixing and what colors you can create with the greens you have. But don't get stuck on exact colors, just play around. When you're mixing, you can never create, I should not say never, but rarely you can recreate the color exactly. So play around and just see how you feel at the moment, and that's what you want to do. Just paint with the colors, feel good to you at the moment. So I'm adding a little bit more shadow on the bottom part, and the reason why our darker colors is to pull them down, to ground them a little bit. And I'm keeping that top ones a little bit lighter, and also at the moment I'm leaving slight white line in between objects. So if you see those lines, I'm kind of figure out which one belongs together, and then I will leave a slight white line in between, and later on I'm going to make sure that those elements, those merge together completely and kind of blur. So I want to keep some of them to be visible, because those are the ones that will create the illusion. The rest we don't have to worry about. So I have those few on the left hand side as leaves, but the rest will be kind of there but not really there. Now if your paint is continuing to mix when you put it in, just let it be. at this point on the background, we don't have to really worry. Dropping a little bit more blue on the bottom just to give that weight. And sometimes I do wet on wet technique, which means my area that I'm gonna be painting, I'm making it wet and then I'm dropping the colors in it. And sometimes I'm using dry on wet, which means I will bring my colors into the surface without preparing my paper in advance. So I'm just bringing them into a dry surface and then I'm moving them around and blending them. And this area is blending beautifully on the bottom with the blues, greens, there's even ochre, yellows. Everything is just happening by itself in a way. And this video was from my Twitch account. If you're interested to see from time to time, I'm gonna go live on Twitch, and this was painted live on Twitch, and it's a lot more fun when you are live, because if you have any questions you can ask and just interact with me, I guess. But this video came from that recording, and I'm obviously making a voiceover, but my chat is going on the right hand side, so anyways, people are happy. And the channel on Twitch is the same as the channel on Rumble, which is Stamps and Art. Just adding on top before it completely dries. I'm just adding another color, and it just merges with the rest of the colors, but not really fast. It's a very slow movement when the paper is not super wet, and it still will create kind of soft lines. Now what I'm doing here is something you should not do, because if you go into the area that you painted, you will ruin your painting. So be careful if you're erasing after you have started painting. And I have no idea why I did not erase. I probably got distracted. But pretty much you want to start with a very faint version of whatever you're painting on the white paper. So we're going to start with the shadows, and I'm going to use a lot of colors for the shadows, and I will start with the purple and blue, like darker blue, and then on the end I'll add even more colors to those areas. So if you want, you can scroll back and forward through the video to see the beginning and the end of shadows. You can leave it the way it is kind of in the middle of the video, but I always play a lot with the shadows. The shadows are a lot of fun to play with and add tons of colors, so I'm making the shadow kind of like a party. So we're gonna have blues, different blues, purples. I will even add other colors into the shadow. So let me know what you think about the shadows. So you have a very sharp edge right there, and the other one I softened the edge just by running a wet brush over that edge and kind of softening it, so you can do either way. So observe when I'm painting, because I do different things on different elements. If they're the same, I'm gonna try to do a few different things so it's not the same repetitive way of painting that flower. On some of them I'll change the direction, I'll change a little bit the color, I'll change the brush strokes. So there's always slightly different things that I do just so you can see it. And here I noticed that my flower is not matching, so I'm gonna have to make sure it is, so our illusion is complete. And that was an easy fix. And again, we want those darker colors on the bottom, so we are starting much lighter than where we're gonna end up on the end. So we will transition from much lighter colors to kind of pumping those colors on the end and making them a lot darker. So we can separate those a little bit here. And I'm not really separating them with just a line. I am kind of giving a line, but then adding a few brush strokes so it doesn't look totally outlined. So there is our third color for our shadows. And we're still very, very light, so we're going to increase more and more that. And since those flowers are white and slightly transparent on the light, I'm adding a little bit of yellow and orange into the base or the top of the flower, and that will give us, I guess, another illusion that there's transparency going on there. So the light is shining through and just going through a lot of colors and showing us different things. So increasing the shadow sometimes. This is a mixture between blue and purple. And I'm using clean, almost dry brush. Not drippy, there's still water on it, but just softening the edge of whatever I just added, and just makes it perfect. Playing with the shadows again. Your shadows and your highlights are the most important things. And now I'm changing the direction of the brush strokes, going inwards, kind of following the shape of the flower. It looks so much better when there's purple and there's blue and there is all kinds of different variations of blue. I mean, try not to make it too rainbowy, but a lot of colors are not the wrong thing to do. So just experiment. I did this painting, that's probably the 4th time, and I think I picked almost everything I liked from the previous ones, and some of them I just concentrated on the shadow, some of them I concentrated more on the actual flower, and some of them I just played with the background. And I love to leave areas where I make a mistake so you guys can see what happens. I could have deleted that, but it's very easy to take away something that happens that it didn't quite go in the way you wanted, just like this one and the previous one. So very easily with a dry clean brush, I pushed that brush down and kind of took away the color and some of the water from the canvas. I'm just smudging that a little bit, just with wet brush, and you can barely see it, but I'm adding a little bit of blue here because blue sometimes gives us illusion of more clean white color. So very, very faint blue will do that. And of course you don't want to take the white completely. And I lost count of how many times I put my brush on the shadow parts. So now we're getting to the point where we're going to start cleaning up. This is the fun time where we're going to take away or emphasize on different elements of the painting. And if you see when I'm outlining something, I'm emphasizing on it, but I'm not doing a complete perfect outline. There's areas where it's thinner, there's areas where I will miss, and there's areas that I will just push my brush slightly more so it's a little bit thicker brush stroke. So it seems a little too light in those areas, so I'm just going to push that color a little bit more. Anywhere where there's something disappearing, you want to touch up a little bit, you want to add. Purple and red. Not everywhere, not on all of them. They don't need all of the flowers to be absolutely the same. And you see how dark that looks. And what we're gonna do next is get a clean wet brush and kind of smear it around or move it around, whatever you want to call it. So you are leaving a strong edge, but also you moving into one or the other direction, whatever works better to soften one of the sides and make it part of the element. And we're gonna go with a little bit of yellow. Yellow's gonna brighten this and also create that sunspot. And don't be afraid here. I know it's very dark, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a clean wet brush and we're gonna leave as much as we want to, so it's not gonna be as dark. Gonna move it around also. So this is more adding to those shadows. Now we could have left it where they are right now, but to me it seems a little bit unfinished, so I'm just trying to push it a little bit more and see what happens. And I think that blue looks great, so I am not sad that I did this. And it was live, which was, sometimes it's risky because you're experimenting, but it's good to experiment when you're doing things in front of people because they can see what, or you guys can see what you like, you don't like, and kind of learning from somebody else's mistakes or doings. So I will try to go Mondays live on Twitch, and I will try to go somewhere around noonish, 1 o'clock, and see what happens. So you can always join me there. I will moving all my videos to Rumble, so Rumble's going to be my main account. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my YouTube account. Will just sit there for a while because I have quite a few videos there that I haven't moved yet to Rumble. So the process has started probably half a year ago. So we'll see where that's gonna be, but you can always find me. Also, you can look up some of the things on, I'm still on Facebook. There's a lot of traceables there for previous videos and all kinds of fun things. And I think from Rumble posts on my Facebook, so you can always follow videos from there back to Rumble. And we're just doing the green part. So again, starting super light, and then we can increase the value of that color. So we're going to make it slightly darker. We can either start with a very transparent color and use the same color to increase the value, or we can add another color in it. But the important thing is the background is green and we have a little bit of a green base on those flowers. We want to separate those. We don't want them to completely disappear. So that's why the dark area there was very helpful. That it's behind our plants, our flowers. And I'm using clean brush to pick up some of the color and kind of give it, I don't know, a light spot, a highlight. And I'm using a little bit of watercolor pencil, dipping it in watercolor. And just again, I was experimenting to see what happens. It just seemed to, and I'm pretty much ruining that watercolor pencil, but you know, it's for fun, it's for painting. So that's what's going on here. So it didn't seem like I will use this in the future. I could have done the same thing just with paint. So it was an experiment and it did give me colors, but this is it. So first, this is the first one. This is the second one. I played with different things. That was the third one where I really tried to play with shadows, and this is the fourth one. So there was a really good progress, and this will be the next painting. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to Rumble, and I'll see you soon. Happy painting. Bye.